I work at ePLANETe.Blue, which is an association we developed with Martin O'Connor, which deal with the exploitation of a knowledge portal online on environmental education, ecological economics, and sustainability. So the idea of this presentation is how can we mobilize these tools in order to deal with quality and pertinence of knowledge for environmental justice. So eJOL was a European project which was coordinated by Joan Martinez Alier, and there were different goals. But within this presentation, I will talk about one aspect, which was the development of the EG Atlas, which is an atlas which describes ecological distribution conflict, relying on co-production of knowledge between academics, environmental justice organization, activists, and other people. And when developing this map for Madagascar, for example, we had some different questions, which were how can we deal with the diversity of knowledge and valuation languages, a diversity of knowledge carriers, and which is the simple framework in order to deal with all this knowledge. And the second type of question we had is how to characterize environmental injustice. So I'll make a presentation of 3 situations where we can develop a dialogue on knowledge, pertinence, and quality. The first one is at the production and supply knowledge. The second one is how at the level of representation of the situation of injustice. And the third one is about how can we, of which point of view we can define the situation as being unfair or unjust. So for the first dialogue, we can develop a dialogue on the knowledge supply or production, and we have to ask about what kind of knowledge is available. Who are the knowledge carriers? They can be scientists, they can be experts, these can be national, regional, or local authorities, industries, NGOs, EJOs, environmental justice organizations, or others. But their knowledge is based on which kind of conceptual approach, or tools, or method, or theory. So this is a list of some example of conceptual approach. It can be social metabolism, discourse analysis, but also informal and vernacular knowledge. Within this dialogue, quality can be developed. A dialogue on quality can be developed, and Jeroen already talked about NewsApp, but there are different kind of tools that can express the knowledge quality assessment at indicator, tools, or methods level. And during yesterday's session, many of the presentations were about this dialogue at the knowledge production level. The second form of dialogue is between the supply and demand. And we develop a tool within ePLANETe, which is called the representation rack, in which we make the link between, in the green part is the offer of knowledge, and in the brown part is demand. And the demand here is expressed in terms of case studies for Madagascar, and the way we choose to represent the feeling of, or the expression of injustice. To do so, we choose we choose some criteria which are defined equality or inequality dimension, which are based on the literature, on Sen, Nussbaum, Maslow, Max Neef, and so on, in order to identify 6 categories or 6 dimensions of inequality. The first one is recognition of people in a problem, participation of people in a political process, economic distribution, ecological distribution, creation in the way of talking about the richness of human being, subsistence in a way to talk about the poverty aspect of human being. But within this representation rack, the idea is to identify which of the existing knowledge is pertinent in order to deal with these criteria for these case studies. So we use a system where you can put a 0, no pertinence, 1, weak pertinence, and 4, strong pertinence in order to express the contextualization and the fitness for purpose, in fact, of this knowledge. The third part is about, the third dialogue is about evaluation and deliberation. So within the ePLANETe system, we developed the care-bubble deliberation matrix, which is a multi-criteria, multi-stakeholders evaluation process. And the idea is to organize and to frame the program from 4 points, with 4 axes. The first one is case studies. It means that we will compare different case studies from different point of view, stakeholders, using different criteria, inequality criteria, and we will express in which way these stakeholders consider this situation as being unjust, using different justice principles. So we use a classical principle of justice, strict egalitarianism, difference principle from Rawls, luck egalitarianism from Darwin, desert-based principle from John Stuart Mill, welfarism, Bentham Mills, libertarianism, Nuswick, and we add responsibility from Jonas and precaution. But the idea is to use and to mobilize different stakeholders, but also different knowledge, which can be indicators, but also concept or idea that different stakeholders can have in order to express a judgment about the situation. This is one slide of this deliberation matrix which expresses this. So here it's for one stakeholders, for one case studies, and then at the bottom you have the justice principle. Online you have the inequality criteria. And then different stakeholders can have different view about how this situation is unfair, and then they can choose between, in the blue box, 1 to 5 indicators in order to express why, from their point of view, this situation is unfair. And this indicator can be qualitative, quantitative, or other forms of indicators in order to express that judgment. For each indicator, they have to select a value. The red one means unfair, green, fair, yellow, uncertainty, white, it means I don't know. And for each indicator, so you have to select a value, but also to give a weight, a subjective weight, in order to say this argument, in my judgment, is more important or less important than the other. Then you have an aggregate level, which is expressed in the picture, which expresses the main judgment of the main judgment you want to express. So for concluding, the aim of this approach is a way to mobilize a diversity of knowledge, diversity of people, diversity of valuation language in an extended peer community approach. The quality and the pertinence of this knowledge is defined within a dialogue which can take place at different levels, in order to, at the level of knowledge production, in order to decide how it can fit to demand, or to be used in order to express judgment. What we did by separating these two tools, the representation rack and the deliberation matrix, is to separate a positive approach from a normative approach. And so the use of the justice principle helps in characterizing from different point of view in which way the situation or the situation can be defined as unjust. Okay, thank you very much.